Everybody can see the shloka. Very powerful shloka. Very nice shloka. First chant the prayers. Om Agyan Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Anish Prabhu is in front of me. He will chant the shloka after me. Please chant after me. We're going to discuss chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, text number 55. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Speak in the mic. Prajahati yada kaman
Prajahati yata
Sarvan
kaman
Partha Manogatan
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Atmanevatmana Tushtaha
Atmanne Atmana Tushtha
Sthita
Sthira
Pragyastadochyate.
Pragyat Tustate
Shri Bhagavan
Sri
Uvacha
Bhagavan Vacha
Prajahati yada kaman
Prajahati yada
Sarvan
kaman
Partha Manogatan
Sarvan Partha Manogatan
Atmanevatmana Tushtaha
Atmane Atmana Tushtha
Sthita Pragyastadochyate.
Sthira Pragyat Tustate.
So we have this shloka in front of us where the Lord is describing the quality of a person who is sthita pragya, or a person whose consciousness is fixed in the absolute. I hope everybody can understand my English. So before we understand this shloka, we have to see the shlokas which are previously spoken. Arjuna had asked a question, and that question is based on text number 53. Shruti vipratipanna te yadasthasyati nischala samadhavachala buddhistada yogam avapsasi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. What does this shloka mean? The Vedas promise the living entity various types of allurements in terms of going to heavenly planets, by which the mind, after hearing it, the mind becomes disturbed and filled with material desires. A person begins to endeavor for going to Swarga. So the Lord is saying when the mind is no longer disturbed, that the mind does not give any importance to these statements of the Vedas, and remains fixed in the trance of self-realization. That means the mind is only absorbed in the happiness of realizing oneself as an eternal servant of the Lord. Then you must understand that you have attained divine consciousness. So now naturally a question can arise or will arise: what are the symptoms of a person who has divine consciousness? And that's why Arjuna is asking the question in text number 54. Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadhi kim prabhashet kimasita brajeta kim. Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said, are you able to follow? When the Lord explained in text number 53 that when your mind is completely detached from any attachment or allurement of the material world, of the Vedas, which promises something in the material world, and you only find happiness in Atma, then you will be told that you are in divine consciousness. So now Arjuna is asking the question, Sthita Pragyasya Kya Bhasha? A person who is Sthita Pragya, who has Bhasha in Sanskrit, it means paribhasha. Paribhasha means definition. How do you define, what is the definition of a person with divine consciousness? Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha. I hope you're able to understand the Sanskrit directly. I'm showing the Sanskrit as well as the Devanagari as well as the English. Sthita pragyasya ka bhasha. Krishna, Keshav, you are the controller of Ka means Brahma and Ish means Lord Shiva. So you are the controller of Brahma and Shiva. You know all these secrets very nicely. That is the import of the word Keshav. O Keshav, please define please tell me what is the bhasha, what is the paribhasha, what is the definition of a person in divine consciousness. Although Lord has explained that to a certain extent in the previous shloka itself, but he wants a more clear definition. Samadhistasya Keshav, a person who is situated in samadhi, how do you define it? How you define him? And that has been in a way explained by the Lord, but he wants more clear definition. What is the definition of a person whose consciousness is fixed in the absolute? This is the first line of the first, is the meaning of the first line. Stitadhi. See, there are three words here: Stita Pragya, Samadhistha, and Stitadhi. They all meaning the same. It's not that they are being referring to a different person. A person whose pragya or consciousness is fixed, or a person whose samyak samadhi, his mind is fixed, or a stitadhi, whose intelligence is fixed. So all have the same meaning, same import. Stitadhi kim prabhashet. The prabhashet means speaks. Now what does that mean? It means when some temptation comes or something which is agitating that comes, how does he respond? If some uh, agitation in the form of let's say dishonor comes, then how does he respond? Or if some material allurement is coming, how does he respond? This is the meaning of the word prabhashit. And kim asita, now asit means to sit. Kim asita is very interesting, means that means when the object of sense gratification appear before him, how does he sit? How is he able to control his senses? For example, if I'm hungry and I suddenly see a plate of food, then I will immediately rise and try to grab the food. I'm just giving a very normal way of understanding what is the meaning of sitting and standing up. Now, simply sitting does not mean how does he sit on the chair. Sitting, it means how he is able to control his senses when sense objects come in front of him. See, in the previous shloka, we have discussed that he is not attached to the flowery languages, the flowery promises which are there in the Vedas. You do this, you'll go to heaven, you will enjoy beautiful damsels and all that. He is not interested. Why he is not interested? Because he is interested in the self and Atma. Now you see, compared to our consciousness, with very little distraction, even if nobody is asking, and even if it is not a sense gratification in general, we become disturbed. So he's asking that question: how does he control his senses? And vrajetakim, vraja means to move about, to go forward. So when there is an opportunity for practicing Krishna consciousness, how does he move about? Does he immediately take to that action of Krishna consciousness? These are the four questions of Arjuna. If you can pick it up, first is in the first line: what is the definition of a person whose consciousness is fixed in the absolute truth? Second question is: how does he respond to the different situations in this material world? And then when sense objects come, how he controls his senses, and when there is opportunity for engaging in self-realization, how does he engage? How does he engage? These are the meanings. So now the first question is being answered in text number 55. I explained all this so that we understand what is the what is the flow of the whole shlokas. So Lord is answering the first question in this shloka. So he says, um, so please speak the synonyms after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri
The
Bhagavan
Supreme Personality, that the devotee in front of me will speak, that is faster. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
Prajahati
Prajahati
gives up
Yada
Yada
when
Kaman
Kaman
desires for sense gratification,
desires for sense gratification,
Sarvan
Sarvan
of all varieties,
of all varieties,
Partha,
Partha,
O son of Pritha,
O son of Pritha,
Manahagatan
Manahagatan
of mental concoction,
of mental concoction,
Atmani
Atmani
in the pure state of the soul,
in the pure state of soul,
Eva certainly,
certainly,
Atmana
Atmana
by the purified mind,
by the purified mind,
Tushtaha
Tushta
satisfied,
satisfied,
Sthipragya
Sthipragya
transcendently situated,
transcendently situated,
Tada
Tada
at that time, Uchyate
Uchyate
is said.
is said.
Now, if you actually see the shloka, it is actually like a definition. But first, let me do the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, that means son of Pritha, when a man gives up all varieties of desires for sense gratification which arise from mental concoction, pretty heavy, is it not? Mental concoction. You know, concoction is like a soup, mental soup. Quite amazing. And when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Now, before we go into the Sanskrit, which we're going to go now, can you identify this shloka as a definition? If I say, what is force? I don't know how much you have studied physics, but if you say force, so force is defined as this, whatever. Mass into action, something like that. What is mass? Mass is defined like this. Action or acceleration is defined like this. So you see, the Lord has been asked, Sthit pragyasya kya ka bhasha? What is the definition of a person whose consciousness is fixed in absolute? So the Lord is also answering by giving the definition of a person who is fixed in absolute, or whose consciousness is fixed in absolute. Now let us first try to understand Sanskrit. We will relish the shloka more. Sri Bhagavan Vacha is very clear. That means the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. It's a very great import because we don't know what is the definition of a person who's Sthita Pragya. Only the Lord knows what is real Samadhi, and only the Lord can tell us what is the definition of a person who's situated in Samadhi. Because in India, especially, in general, people think Samadhi means not thinking of anything. Is it not? Complete blank, and you are not attached to anything. If you are not a devotee, that is what we hear actually, that we are completely blank and we don't think of anything. Paramatma mein leen ho jao, you become merged in Paramatma. That's what they think, but that's not what Lord is telling here. So let us see. Prajahati. Pra word is used for signify, having, has a way of connoting speciality. Prakrishtena, very nicely. Jahati means give up. He very nicely gives up, means he doesn't, once giving up, he does not accept them again. What does he give up? Yada kaman. Now yada means when, and kaman means desires for sense gratification. Now you see how Lord very intelligently defines. He does not define a time when this is going to happen. It's not 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 4 year. He says yada. Lord is a perfect lawyer. He puts words very nicely. He says yada, when. Now when means if I am thinking that I am Sthita Pragya, it is not a matter of 1 year, 2 year, 10 year, or 5 year, or 15 years. When, whenever it happens, when. That is why the word is yada. Are you able to understand this point? Yada. Yada kaman prajahati. Yada sarvan kaman prajahati. When he gives up, sarvan means all. When he gives up all kinds of desires based on material sense gratification. O Partha, that means, O son of Pritha, Arjuna, when a person gives up all kinds of desires for sense gratification. Now, Arjuna may ask a question, why a person has to give up desires for sense gratification, or is it really possible to give up desires for sense gratification? So there are two questions. Is it possible to give up these desires? This seems to be, is very impossible, next to impossible to give up these desires for sense gratification. And why should we give up sense gratification, desires for sense gratification? Two questions are intertangled in this. So the answer is given manogatan. Manogatan means they are arising from mind. So I will answer the first question. Can these material desires be given up? Yes, because they are manogat, because they are arising from mind. They are not arising from the Sarupa of the soul. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan explains very nicely, because they don't arise from the soul, the desire for enjoying women, money, or what is it, wealth, many we have already said, followers, or becoming a learned scholar, dhanam, janam, sudram, ityadi, they are not arising from soul. They are arising from the impressions of the mind. Mind is external from the soul. Are you able to follow this? We are not the mind. If you know Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the senses are superior to the body, the mind is superior to the senses, The intelligence superior to the mind, and beyond the intelligence is Atma. So that because the material desires are born from the mind, so you can give them up. It's very simple. You see, I am wearing this sweater, so I can give the sweater up. Is it not? If you see from the reference frame of my body, this is external to my body. Is it not? Very difficult. So it's very simple. Now, suppose okay, if I ask this question, why I am continuing to wear this sweater? Answer is very simple, because I want to. Simple. I want to wear this sweater, so I am wearing this sweater. Now you may say it is cold, but many times people wear so many strange things also, like some clip in the hair or something. So that is external to their body, and they're wearing it because they want to wear it. So the very nicely it is mentioned that the desire of the mind, that means the desire for sense gratification, because they are arising from the mind, they can be given up because they're external to the soul. Now if I ask you, can we give up serving? Maybe you can just nod your heads. Can we give up serving? So Janaki Mataji is saying no. Indra Mataji is supporting. Amal Arjun Prabhu is thinking. Shaiju has not hearing my word. What about others? Can you stop serving? Can you stop all kind of services? So many devotees are saying no, and you understand, because this is the constitutional nature of Atma to serve. So you see, we cannot stop serving, but we can stop serving the desires which are born from the mind, because the mind is external to the soul. Are you able to understand? First. Now, second question is, why they have to give it up? Because they are not arising from the soul. So they are not the needs of the soul. So what now? Let us make it more graphic and clear. Whatever sense enjoyment we are thinking in our mind, and Maya, through working through our mind, convinces us, unless you do this or you get this, you cannot be happy. I'm not talking personally to one person. I also have so many bad desires come into my mind also, and every time is the whole strategy of Maya is very simple. Unless you are not that happy, unless you get this object, how can you be happy? Do you agree? That's how the every time Maya says like this. Even though we see that those people who have this are not happy. So is it not manogat? It's a imagination of the mind. I am seeing it also. I'm talking about devotees, not non-devotees. As a devotee also, a practicing devotee, we see those people are not happy. Suppose if you take women, those people have most beautiful wives, or maybe many associated with so much women also. Are they happy? No, they are not. My Guru Maharaj told, if all this sense gratification was making people happy, then prostitutes will be very happy, but they are most miserable. Sense gratification is giving us misery only. And then if people have money that makes them happy, then all the people who are having money, they should be happy. They are not happy. So you see when we use intelligence, we see people who have these things are not happy. So understanding that with proper vivek, how to say, discrimination, a person gives up those desires. Are you able to follow what I'm saying? Two things. First, they can be given up, and because they are born from the mind, and because they are born from the mind, is an illusory conception. It has nothing to do with the soul, so they must be given up. So it says, Yada, when a person gives up all these material desires, then now again a question can be raised. So all desires are given up, so the soul should remain as inert matter? Is that what you're saying? Na. Atmani eva. Certainly. He is not I, is E. Eva. Eva in Sanskrit means certainly, only. There is no doubt about it. Atmani. He is Atmani eva tushtah. Atmana Atmani eva tushtah. Atmana means by purified mind, he becomes satisfied in Atmani means Atma. What does that mean? You see, in Bhagavad explains also Atma means, Atma can refers to mind, Atma can refers to intelligence, Atma can refer to determination, it can refer to Jiva, and can refer to super soul. So now, the third line means, by the purified mind, by the spiritualized mind, the spiritual mind, he finds satisfaction in Atmani, means soul. Now, what does that mean? In realizing the soul, One, that means Atmanand, or it can mean realizing Krishna through bhakti. So that there are two realizations, two spiritual realizations. It's called Brahmanand, in which a person realizes that I am soul, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Suchiti Na Kankshati, and other higher realization is Parabhakti, where he realizes the bliss which is coming from Krishna. Please try to understand. Atma is Anandamaya. Atma is blissful. So it always wants some happiness. So giving up those conceptions which are arising from the mind, the Atma, when that Atma only relishes happiness in Atma through a purified mind, then is Pragya Tadochate. Then he will be called a person in fixed consciousness. Am I too high-fi? No. What does no means? Okay. No. They're answering the question. Is it too high-fi? Are you able to understand? Okay. I'll explain, try to explain in more detail. You see, just like every night we sleep and we dream something, and we can see that those dreaming things, while we are dreaming, we think this will make me happy. If I don't do this, I'll be unhappy. Is it not? Every dream is almost like this. But when you wake up, how much do you care about the dream? Dream only. What is that? So similarly, in this dreaming condition, even in the so-called awakened condition, I'm identifying with my body just so much, just the same way as I identify with my subtle body in my dreams. You understand this point? So now we are not concerned about the dream body. Similarly, I'm just saying, similarly, the living entity, when it has a pure mind, then it takes pleasure in spiritual activities. If I put it very simply, that is the meaning of Atmani, being satisfied in the soul. And then he will be called Sthitapragyas Tadochate. Then he will be called Sthitapragya. So I think it's very clear. It is a defining shloka of Sthitapragya. A person whose consciousness is Sthitapragya, Samadhistha, or Sthitadhi, all these things which were described in shloka 54 are being answered in the first shloka. The first question, that what is the definition of a person whose consciousness is fixed in the absolute truth, is answered in this shloka by Lord Krishna. Is it clear? Now should we go to purport? Okay. The Bhagavad Gita, the language of Bhagavad Gita may be a little difficult, but try to digest it. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all the good qualities of the great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendently situated has no good qualification because is sure to be taking refuge in his own mental concoctions. Beautiful shloka. This has been spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunastatra samasate sura harau abhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavatu bahihi. Beautiful. Say Prahlad Maharaj says, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. A person who has nishkinchan, pure, unalloyed devotional service to the Lord, Bhagavati, in the Supreme Lord, Sarvair gunas tatra samasate surha. The demigods and the Supreme Lord with all their good qualities are residing in the body of the devotee. Try to understand not only the good qualities, but the great the demigods along with the Supreme Lord are residing within the body of the devotee. Acharyas explain that even demigod worshippers get the qualities of the demigods. So if a devotee gets the qualities of the demigods, that's not something strange. So it means that the Lord as well as the demigods reside in the body of a devotee. Now what does that mean? It means that such a devotee who has pure devotional service for the Lord, he will manifest those good qualities in all circumstances here very carefully. The shloka is also of Bhagavad Gita, which you are hearing, is also referring to the same point theme. It's not that when some sense objects are not there, only then he is satisfied in the self. He is Atmani Eva. He is always situated in his devotional activities. He is always satisfied in bhakti only. I hope you are able to understand. It's not that when sense objects are not there, only then he's happy in doing bhakti. No, even if the sense objects are there, he's still not attracted to sense objects, just like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was even tested by Maya, but still he was not affected. Now, second part is, so this is very clear. A second part is that a person who's not devotee, harau abhaktasya, a person who's not a devotee of Hari, kuto mahat guna, what is the value of his all great qualities? Why you're saying like this? Manorathena sati dhavato vahi. He is only taking shelter in his manorath. Now, what does manorath means? Manorath means chariot of the mind. The chariot of the mind can go in both directions. It's called anukul vritti and pratikul vritti, rag and dvesh. Something which I like now, I will not like the next moment. Just like Kansa seemed to be very, very loving to Mother Devaki. But then, see, as soon as he came to know that the child born from her will be the cause of his death, immediately he was ready to kill his own young sister at the time of her marriage, uh, in front of everyone. What a shame for such a great warrior to kill a woman who's helpless and at the time of her marriage, and even when she's his own sister. So you can understand that this shloka shows that because he was not a devotee of the Lord, he could not in a sustainable, in a stable way manifest good qualities. Is it clear? Okay. So this Sthita Pragya means his consciousness will never deviate from the Lord. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. So I think this is very clear. Sorry, what is the meaning of the phrase manufactured by mental concoction? Concoction, you see, is like a soup where you add so many herbs and then you concoct, you like water, you take water and you add so many vegetables and you add so many herbs and then you concoct something. So mental concoction means our mind has different impressions of sense gratification. So if you see, picking up one impression and then another impression and another impression, the mind mixes up everything and presents as illusory reality in front of us, which is basically eating, waiting, sleeping, and defending, and some combination of it. And in that, we will be happy. We think we'll be happy. If you don't agree to it, you think about it. People who sleep, all of us get the happiness of sleep same. But some people who come to Vrindavan, they think unless they book a room for 5,000 rupees per day, they cannot be happy. Is it not a mental concoction? I always give the example, this is a good example. One of my student is earning a lot now. So he was staying in a simple room when he was in hostel. And now he had to buy a 70 lakh rupees home. So I was making fun of him that when you were kind of staying in hostel not long ago, 10 years back, so you're not staying in a room which is 70 lakh rupees worth, is it not? Is it not a mental concoction that unless you are staying in a 70 lakh rupees home, how can you be happy? Do you agree, my dear devotees? I can see you also. Nobody is nodding
Yes,
or
Prabhu.
saying anything.
Yes, you are right.
So, is it not all of you, all at least the Prabhus, I will ask these questions. All of you have been in college, is it not? So you must have stayed in a, let's say, 8 feet by 10 feet room max, or you stayed with three people. And now it seems we have a good homes here. Shiva Guna Krishna Prabhu has a good background, backside, I think, nice sofa and everything. And I'm just making fun of you, Shiva Guna Prabhu, and all other grahasthas also. Don't you think that unless you have those so many things, you will be not be happy? And you yourself, see, I have also been in college. We all, I'm only talking to Prabhus now. So no Matajis will be offended. Prabhuji's only. Have you not lived a very simple life in hostel? And see, somehow that now we are becoming accustomed. Unless we have so many things, we'll not be happy, even as a devotee. What to talk of non-devotees? Unless we have so many rooms and this and that and that, and we have a social prestige and all these things. So please don't be offended, but this has nothing to do with Atma. Nothing to do with Atma. Even as a devotee, we are not talking about non-devotees. Even as a devotee, We have not given up some mental concoction. See, I'm not glorifying myself, but I was staying in a simple room as in IIT Kanpur. I was staying, I'm staying in the same room, similar size room in ashram also, 8 feet by 10 feet, and even that to maintain that room is a big endeavor for me. To clean and this, we don't have time for all those things also. That's a big endeavor. I have not changed. So think about it. It has nothing to do. It's a very important point which any devotee in any ashram has to be accepting it. You see, it does not, this shloka does not talk about ashram dependent things. Whether it's a grahastha or whether it's a brahmachari or sanvanaprastha or sannyas, he gives up the desire for mental, which are manufactured by mental concoction, or I would say mental concoction factory. I'll get this, I'll get this. And you do a homework after this class. Go to your room or home and search many, and you will find so many things which you have not used for last 6 months, and probably you won't use them for your whole life also. See, and this how our mind concocts. This is very important. I must keep it. I must keep it, and then we so many things accumulated in our room. Very practical application. Anyhow, I don't want to put so much pressure, but this is there. And then any other thing which we think about it, you will really laugh. I know one devotee. He's in, I think it's Pakistan or somewhere. I don't know somewhere. No, Sharjah or somewhere. He already has a job of 8 lakh rupees per month. Now he wants to do a job, a course for 1 crore rupees, so that he can get a job of 20 lakh rupees per month. Now, what do you say? Is it not concoction? With 8 lakh rupees per month is a good job, is it not? It is quite good. And still he's not happy, miserable. I said, why don't you, and he has a good time, 8 to 1 or 2 like that. And he can get 8 lakh rupees. And by that time you can chant Hare Krishna rest of the time and hear Bhagavatam. But no, he's concocting, by earning more and more, I'll become very happy. So this is all mental concoction. Artificially, now Srila Prabhupada explains, you cannot give up these desires just by talking about them. That's why Prabhupada says, artificially such sense desires cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically, once again, automatically sense desires subside without extraneous effort. This is very easy to understand. You see, all of us here are not here by force. None of the members here are by force. Now, I don't know what program comes in TV. We don't watch TV. But most of our devotees don't watch TV. And you must have seen those who practice Krishna consciousness strongly, they don't even realize when the desire to watch TV goes away. They just discuss about Krishna, they chant Hare Krishna, they have a Krishna conscious lifestyle. That's what Prabhupada is telling. If you engage in Krishna consciousness, you are happy in Krishna consciousness, then automatically you become free from material desires. You have seen the word Atmani eva Atmanah tushta. By your purified mind, you are only happy in spiritual activities. Simple. And you see, most of our devotees, like I'm seeing the devotees who are being trained, they just wake up at 3 a.m. and what they are supposed to do, take bath and then chant Hare Krishna and then go for Mangalarti and then Tulsi Arti and chant Hare Krishna and go for class and then again go for class, and then take prasadam, go for class, do something, again come for class. It's the same thing over and over again. So this is called Atmani Vatmana Tushta, where there is an opportunity for the mind to find satisfaction in gossiping. And you will see that any devotee can see that how if you have to engage or hear in prajalpa, oh, this is boring, super boring. Especially if you have to sit in a meeting which is all nonsense, super nonsense. Even that is so boring. So Mahaprabhu was perfect example of it. Little bit any material thing was information was given to Mahaprabhu, he could not tolerate. He was even ready to give up his sannyas ashrams, what is accommodation, and go to Alarnath. I don't want to hear this. He did not want to hear any Gramya Katha. So devotee naturally becomes attached to Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam, Krishna Sankirtan. So he does not have to extraneously, he does not have to actually put an effort to give up material sense gratification. Therefore, one has to engage himself. Where is that? In Krishna consciousness without hesitation, for this devotional service will instantly help one onto the platform of transcendental, transcendental consciousness. It's a very beautiful line. You see, Prabhupada says nicely, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation. Now, what does that mean? Should I put 100% effort? Will bhakti really make me happy? Or I should at least invest, like in banking sector, they said, don't invest all your money in one bank. So give 50% to HDFC, 20% to whatever IFC or I don't know the name, or Axis Bank. Maybe one bank will go bankrupt. So there is some hesitation, is it not, to give all your money in one bank? And what does Prabhupada says? Without hesitation, engage himself in Krishna consciousness. That means by body, mind, and words, one should engage fully in Krishna consciousness, understanding that only by bhakti I'll be happy. For the maintenance of the body, a grahastha or anyone has to do certain things, but we must remember that I am only doing this to maintain my body. It's very, very simple to understand. Just like we fill up petrol in our bike, and no, we clean the bike and we maintain it just to maintain it, not decorate it. I mean, you know that there are some people who actually love their bikes, whatever that means, and they polish it and so much like that. So, but that is not the point. The point is when one can desire a healthy life, but understand that I can only be happy by engaging in bhakti. Just like fish can only be happy by being in water, and fish cannot be happy, or rather, fish, the unhappiness of fish is immediately started when is pulled out of water. If you see, that is more striking. My happiness, the happiness of fish is there when it is in water, and the unhappiness or severe unhappiness immediately starts as soon as it is removed from water. Similarly, as soon as I'm removed from bhakti, immediately I'm unhappy. As soon as, not long back, as soon as atma is detached from bhakti, it becomes unhappy. So without any hesitation, one should engage fully in Krishna consciousness, especially in human form of life. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Now, you see, this actually refers to Bhava stage. In Bhava stage, there is no sense gratification. No means zero. There is no sense gratification. Only constant engagement in bhakti of the Lord, and that also is automatic. You don't have to put effort. The remembrance of the Lord, the chanting of the Lord is just automatic. Right now, we have to put effort, but in the Bhava stage, it's just automatic. So it is said that that highly developed soul means by the practice of bhakti, by purified mind, it remains satisfied in himself. What does that mean? He realizes his relationship with the Supreme Lord. What I am in relationship with the Supreme Lord, and that is called love of God. And we have explained elsewhere on other times also, when a person has a love of God, whatever very even most insignificant service he renders to the Lord, even just offering a lamb or anything simple, it will give him infinite pleasure. Now you understand why he remains satisfied? Simple. You want pleasure. All of us are Atma, we want pleasure. So at the stage of Bhav and beyond, that means love of God, you remain happy simply by even thinking of Krishna, you'll become happy unlimitedly. So why you think of anything else? If simply thinking of Krishna makes you unlimitedly happy, then why will you think of anything else? Now, if you don't think of anything else, why will you do anything else? Simple, hai ki nahi? Such a transcendently situated person has no desire, sense desire resulting from petty materialism. That means he has no desire to gratify his senses, which give him shulla sukh, insignificant, low-grade material happiness. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. Uh, it's like one example. I want to stop the share now. How to do that? Stop share. So, Yamanachar has explained that, "O my Lord, since I have been relishing the happiness of bhakti by serving you, I am not, whenever I think of sense gratification of association with women, my lips curl in distaste. Yadavadhi mama chitta Krishna padar bindu, navanava ras dhamani karantu masid." So, you can, from that practical example, you can understand, even if somehow the desires come up, but he gives a prajahati. Yeah, nah, I don't want. I always give the example of Indian train. Many devotees have traveled Indian train and they hear chai, 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 tea, 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 tea. but they have given up the desire for drinking tea. So even if the opportunity is there, or even if the call is coming, you are not interested. You are interested in your chanting japa or whatever discussion or whatever you are doing in the train. So I hope you understand. I'll just revise it for you. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan path manogatan. When all the desires which are coming up from the mental concoction, when they are given up, atmani eva atmanah tushtah. When a person is by his purified mind is simply satisfied in activities of spirit in relationship with the Supreme, Sthita pragyastadochyate. That person is called Sthita pragya. That is the definition of a person who is Sthita pragya. I'm not sure if I was very fast, but I hope you understood something. So, any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The instructions was very clear. You can say like very loud and clear. Specifically, this verse, it was Krishna's arrangement that we should hear from you. That's what I feel. So it was very like wonderfully explained. We like to take that instruction to our heart and soul. So as you said, the fish is taken out of water. Immediately it will not, because same way, soul when it leaves bhakti, that moment the unhappiness catches the soul. So that was, so that is the strong conviction as a sadhaka we should have. And also you said, what about mental concoction? It's like a soup. The mind always convinces us that if you take this, then you will be happy. Or if you have this.
And if you have noticed, that's how Amazon works out. No? When you just open the Amazon website, immediately think this is very important. See, it has five-star rating. And then we actually buy the product, then it has no use to us. Many times it happens like that. On instincts, we work like that.
Yes,
Raghavendra Prabhu is asking question, no one is equal to God, but the Chid Vaibhav Shakti or Yog Maya, supreme position is as equal to Lord himself. How? You see, the Supreme Lord is attracted to his spiritual potency. That internal potency is not different from the Supreme Lord. So it attracts the Supreme Lord. What is the difficulty? Simple. By his own potency, by his own desire, the internal potency is not different from the Supreme Lord. So it attracts the Supreme Lord. So it should not be a difficulty. Okay. Yes. Anything else? Any questions or comments? Okay. So we shall stop. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving your valuable time for us.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So next time you will.
Sorry for chastising.
No.
My habit. At
No,
least some.
It is said that
I'll recognize some devotees at least.
Yes, it is said that sadhu's duty is to cut the material attachments. That's a duty, or that's a sadhu's.
Yeah, but I have to become sadhu first. That is the duty of sadhus. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for your class.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We thank Hare Krishna for Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpadarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, His Grace Subhang Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thai Gaur Premanande. Hare
Any question, Krishna Prabhu? Any announcements? Yeah.
Hare Krishna.